This is going to sound really weird, but I had been scared of pencils for 30 years. So I used charcoal, or I used painting, or I painted. And I found it really surprisingly rewarding when I started using them.
You
Um,
adapted quite
yeah, yeah.
easily, didn't you?
I mean, I also did it as part of my physio,
Okay.
because, without going into it too deeply. But when you wake up from a coma, most people have lost all of their muscle.
Mhm.
That includes your hands and fingers. So mine didn't. Mine were claws. And the physios in hospital thought.
Hello and welcome to the Chester Artbeat interview series. Today we are with Jackie and Miles Negus Fancey, who are a husband and wife team, as you can see, from Chester, creating unique, fresh artworks which have a touch of nostalgia. Now, Jackie's initial training was in graphic design, and she has always had a passion for interiors and pattern. Over the past 25 years, after having children, she has freelanced, working with numerous schools, companies and designers, both in the commercial and residential sector, to create digital artwork, wallpaper to enhance their schemes. Jackie has also gone on to train in surface pattern design. Miles, on the other hand, started his journey at the renowned Chelsea School of Art, where he completed a fine art degree, and he has had over 35 years' experience as a decorative artist, working on many prestigious projects in the UK and across Europe. His skill set is broad, and it has enabled him to enjoy working on a wide variety of projects such as water and mordant gilding. Now, I'm going to murder these words, so I will find out how they're pronounced shortly, but Ver Eglamis, Mural and Trompe l'oeil. My French, sorry about that. And specialist paint and faux finishes. So life took a massive turn for the couple in 2016 when Miles became seriously ill after contracting avian flu whilst on a family skiing trip, which meant he spent 2 months in a coma, and they were told his chances of survival were extremely slim. However, after 90 days of amazing care in the ICU, Miles started his road to recovery. And having to step back from their businesses, Jackie and Miles realised that they needed to rethink their futures. As Miles recovered, they saw the ideal opportunity to set out to do what they had always wanted, to design their own collection of artworks. Now, they are a family of oh, this is fabulous. Where's it gone? They are a family of nature lovers. And this was going to be a source of inspiration. So in 2019, they got out their pencils, and that was the beginning of Fancey by Nature. Jackie and Miles have combined their skills to create a range of artwork they hope will inspire and delight you, and we will get to see some of that shortly. And they will be bringing along to Chester Artbeat their stunning collection influenced by nature, which is both sophisticated and playful. So it was with great delight that I get to invite Jackie and Miles to the interview series. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you doing today? Or this evening, in fact.
Very well, thank you, aren't we?
Yeah, it's good. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you. I think you are our first husband and wife team, or artists in plural, on Chester Artbeat to date. So this is going to be fabulous. Like 2 for the price of 1. No, I joke. I'm sure you bring double the quality. In terms of your journey, so you both have backgrounds in the arts in varying fields. How was my pronunciation, Miles? How badly did I murder those words?
Not too bad. Trompe l'oeil is to trick the eye. To trick the eye.
Ah.
Yeah,
See,
and
fine artist
was good.
background. And so also it's great to have somebody else with a surface design and pattern background, Jackie, because we were speaking to one of our first artists, Alex Russell, and that was his beginning stage before he moved on to his digital creations and reiterations of art there. So you have sort of, by the looks of things, taken a slight digital edge to your artworks that begin very much your prints with a pencil and drawing it out, and then you digitally colour them in. So I would love to hear more about some of what that looks like, the sort of prints that we can expect to see in your process.
Yes, yeah. Well, we have fun thinking about the ideas, don't we, really, Miles? And then we illustrate in pencil. Miles has been doing a lot more of the illustrations lately. And then we scan them all in, and I work on them digitally, to give them that contemporary look, really.
Works like
Um,
these. Just
yes.
so we've got something so that as you're talking, our viewers can get an idea and a grasp of what it is you're discussing.
Yes, yeah. So yes, we work on motifs, really, don't we? So sometimes we do the designs as a whole image, or other times we illustrate parts of the image and then we put them together. So it's each one's different, really, isn't it, Miles?
Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, we start obviously with um, a pencil image, and then it's really playing around with the colours, and the sort of the format of the image, really, you know,
Yeah.
and it's what pleases us ultimately. You know, that's what you're aiming for, isn't it?
I mean, we did play around with illustrating in liners, and it was too graphic looking, and we wanted it to have, I mean, people sort of say about our work as having that nostalgic look about it. And the pen, keeping it as pencil, it just gives it that older look, really, doesn't it? It's
I don't know if how many of your um, how many people watching this are going to have come across the old encyclopedias. My
Please.
grandmother, yeah, my grandmother had rows and rows of them. And what I loved as a child were the illustrations. I found them stunning. And they were often behind tissue paper, and multi-layered. So, you know, it was an extension really of those. Um, yeah, so it's that's what gives it the touch of nostalgia, I think, because we're intrigued by the beautiful sort of block printing.
yeah,
Now
yeah,
we're not producing block prints
no,
and not pretending that they're block prints. So we're combining it with a style that we want to produce, but it's always nudging back to, you know, the more sort of nostalgic
yeah.
imagery.
And the old etchings were, I just love those. I really love those, and the color on them is, it's quite washed out at times, and then others it's really, really vibrant. So our work, all we like color, and it's quite rich, but it's not, our tones are slightly more muted, really. And again, that's what we get a really good reaction about when people see our work. We like to put in sort of things from our past as well, so, you know, old-fashioned things, and mix them with the modern.
Is that a bit like here with the shoebill,
Yes,
the old Victorian sink going on
yeah,
there?
that's right, yes. And the old-fashioned style of tap. And we just loved the shoebill, and not many people had heard about it at the time. And he's quite majestic, really. Um, he's menacing looking as well, but he's just so beautiful. And I mean, you spent hours on those feathers, didn't you, Miles? But they stand still for hours in swamps, so they come from Africa, and they stand still. They don't move at all. And we just thought we wanted him in one of the old Belfast sinks, really. And people absolutely love this print. And a lot of people buy it for their bathrooms. So it's just,
Yes.
I think our work, we try and make it quite playful, but
Mhm.
in a subtle way, really. And yeah, hopefully we've achieved what we wanted, really.
Yeah, I can see the sort of playful edge of the
Yes,
shoebill, who's a swamp bird, but he stood in a little sink. Well, it's a big
yes,
sink because it shows, gives
yeah,
the context of his size, I guess, as well. But
yeah, absolutely.
but that sort of that juxtaposition of the man-made and the
Yes,
nature and the history.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
Throwback.
we've always been interested as well of the impact that mankind's had. You know, that
Mhm.
there's sort of nowhere that you can go anymore that man has not touched every sort of, you know, every continent now. And even if he hasn't actually walked, there's a bit of his or her plastic, you name it,
yeah,
Mm.
in the deepest oceans and the, you know, the most remote parts of the earth.
yeah.
Mhm.
We do try and show that, actually, how animals have had to adapt with our way of life, really, and sometimes to the detriment, and other times they just do adapt, don't they?
Mhm.
Mm.
Like man's best friend in this one.
Yes. And that's our take on Abbey Road.
Oh, of course,
And
yes.
again, people just love this print, don't they, Miles?
Mm.
And at first, when Miles wanted to put the fox, because they're so adaptable, foxes,
Mhm.
they live alongside us, don't they? So
Yeah,
Miles wanted to put the fox carrying the mallard on
oh,
the
is that
shop.
what's in its mouth?
Yes,
If I can
yeah.
zoom in.
It's a moorhen.
Moorhen, I'm sorry, yeah. And so I wasn't sure how this would be taken, but again, people just find it really quite, they just love it. They find it quite funny, but they say it's kind of true to life, really.
Mm, yeah. I mean, I think I saw a fox crossing the road only last week
Yeah,
by my house, so they're
yeah,
definitely out and around.
yes,
And having grown up next to the canal in Chester, very much aware of the number of moorhens that are there sheltering and
yes.
so forth. So and I know that foxes had my friend's chickens, so I can definitely believe they'd go after the moorhens.
Oh, it's a shame, isn't it? It's a
It
shame.
is, yeah. They've got better chicken wire now.
Oh, have they? Yeah,
You know, dug under
yeah.
the
You
ground.
have to adapt yourself, don't you? They do get everywhere.
Yeah, and the other thing that you said about the adapting to lifestyles is very much that previous one I just had up, the sense of there being proper gardens, and then I cannot tell. I'd love to know the backstory here. Is this big cat one that happens to have roamed through because they've created a garden within its normal land area territory, or is this a case of where you had regal palaces and they often had a cat as a sign of their riches and would bring one in?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
seeing this?
that was more it, wasn't it, really, Miles?
The
And
detail's
it's
fabulous.
wandering round its own grounds.
But there's a few big cats wandering around the UK at the moment, aren't there? You know, stumbling onto the odd estate, I'm sure.
I mean, when you were younger, though, there
Oh
was
yeah, yeah.
somebody that had wild cats, didn't they? You were in
She
Surrey.
had lines up the road.
As you do.
It was exactly. She'd I think she'd rescued them from a zoo somewhere. But on a summer's night, you know, the long summer's nights, the roar of lions was quite surreal. You know, coming bellowing across the sort of countryside, and it was quite a roar.
Yeah, I oddly enough have had that experience and therefore know, because when I was staying out in Zimbabwe
Yeah.
I lived out there for a bit, the neighbour 5 houses down had some big cats.
Really?
How and what the story was, I do not know, but we got to hear them. And random fact for you, in case you wanted to know, ostriches, the noise they make at night sounds very similar to big cats. Therefore, children will stay in their
Really?
rooms because they're like, there's a lion outside. So if you ever need to scare them, get an ostrich.
Yeah.
Climbing out the window.
Oh, that's so interesting.
But
I
yeah,
bet
the
it was
impact.
great there, wasn't it?
So yeah, stunning seeing more animals in their natural environment, albeit
Yeah,
they are lions in the next door's house. But yes.
yeah.
So it sounds like you've pulled on a real plethora of inspirations and different parts of your history and the things that have influenced you, even right from childhood with those early books and the encyclopedias and the drawings and the etchings. Is this something that you'd experimented with before life changed and you decided to work together on these prints? Or was it a completely new, fresh idea and a fresh way of working?
I think I'd say it's a fresh idea and a fresh way.
Yeah.
Jack, without answering for you, had worked always on digital artworks, or for many years. I'd been used to mural work, which is much larger than type drawings. So yeah, it was. I think it was something that we wanted to do, and you suddenly go, right, if we can't do it now, when are we ever going to do it? This is the perfect opportunity. We've got to diversify in some way. I think I recognized that there was probably only so long I could go up a scaffold.
Okay, yes.
And yeah, there is only so long that I can take on the scale of work that I do. So yes, it's a way of diversifying, and you never know if what you're producing is going to connect with anyone. And I'm not saying that's why you produce the work. You can't think of the end user, if you like. I can't think of the right word. You have to just produce and hope that it connects. I think I know a lot of people aren't concerned whether they connect, they just produce the work. I think we'd like to think that we connect with people. It's
Absolutely.
important. That's an important element for us.
Yeah. What's so nice is when we see people looking at our work and they're straight away they're smiling, or it's taking them back to something. And that's the biggest compliment you can get, really. It's exactly what we wanted, as you say, to connect with people like that.
Yeah.
And it's nature, and we've always been a bit of a nature mad family. Our children, especially one of them, has had every animal under the sun living in the house, hasn't she?
Not always wanted.
No, not always wanted, but
some sneaky ones too.
Yes. Yeah, rats.
yeah, which were very nice.
Not wild ones, but still.
Yeah, we've had tarantulas, everything.
Wow.
So yeah.
All the tropical. Did you have a parrot or anything that talked to you?
No.
I think that one we did swerve.
Yeah.
I think only because they can live forever and ever. And I don't know. I'm not quite sure that how much I like the idea of captivated parrots, really.
Well, I put on our trio print, there's a budgerigar on there. My granddad used to have a budgie in that colour, and he used to call it by my name, which was quite hilarious, really. But yeah, it's there's little things in our work that remind us of things, in our lives, really.
Yeah, little nods to things
Yeah.
that have meaning and depth. But
Yes.
then, you want connection. I've always believed that if something connects with us, we communicate it differently. There's a heart and an energy that goes in it, which means others catch it even if they don't know the story.
Yes. Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think we try and capture the animals in a slightly different way. It's like the goldfish. We have a goldfish print, which literally, when people see that, you can almost hear them coming to the surface and going for the food that's being sprinkled for them. And it's it's just that, isn't it? Just trying to do it. You captured the swallows in flight, and just trying to do it in a slightly different way.
Putting your own spin and unique
Yeah.
artistic twist on it.
Yes.
So how have you found it working as a couple? Because obviously you are a family together, you live, and now you work. How has that ever caused larger problems, or has it been the living the dream? Feel free to deflect the question.
I think there's always definitely disagreement, and there's also agreement. Thankfully, but I don't think you could have full agreement, could you? If you're, both of us are passionate about our ideas, so we have to compromise somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think, for both of us as well, we've come out of worlds where we've ultimately followed a brief, someone else's brief. So we've always in some way had to swallow our own pride, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So you've got to just go, right, okay, right, this is what we're doing. Setting aside some of your own demands, if you like. And that's fine. That's fine.
I think as well with this, because it's a business, it's been learning about not just creating the art, it's been learning about running it as an actual business as well, which doesn't always go hand in hand with artists. So it's been a brilliant learning curve in the last few years, and so this is what's going to be great at being part of the Chester Artbeat, really, to see the reaction. And yes, we do limited editions. We don't, because of our we don't do originals, do we? We don't sell our original pencil, our illustrations. But we do limited editions and then prints. So we were really pleased that we were considered to take part in this event, really. So it's we're really looking forward to it.
It's interesting. Just you said it's been an interesting learning curve moving into the business side of things. Not all artists do that well, but it's clear that your prints, they're not AI created, they're not just a digital throw together, they're not something you've bought, because there's so many businesses that create the coasters and the chopping boards, which you do sell, but from artwork that they've bought that somebody else has done, and they do the business side. Because often artists either are so busy doing the art and the exhibiting that they don't have time to learn the skill set, or some don't have the interest. I mean, there are some who do, but it's very clear that you can be a fabulous business person with low art skills and make more than a fabulous artist.
Absolutely.
So to be able to marry those and be successful and create that income that your family requires to live is great. And I will say, let me share, your website is so clean and clear and professional. And there's some beautiful works there, lots of little gift type presents as well as the prints. I'd love to know, what are you planning on bringing with you when we see you at Chester Artbeat?
Well, definitely, obviously the frame prints and prints. We'll bring a few little things as well, some gifty things. To be honest, our tea towels sell really well. People love the illustrations being printed on them. So I'll definitely bring those. We have everything we have made is made in the UK. All our framing is made to order. So we will bring a bit of everything, and our cards do really well too, actually. So we'll be bringing lots of cards. We've just launched so little boxes, which are really nice gifts as well. Of you get 6 cards, a 6 cards in the box, and there's a quirky edition and then also a country edition. So we did an event in Kent, not last weekend, the weekend before, the week before that. And they went down really well, but everybody was loving the larger sort of 18 by 23-inch frame print. So it's interesting when we do different events to see which sells best, because in different areas, different prints sell. It's really, really strange.
Okay.
The difference
Which
between
designs?
difference between urban and rural as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So in in Blenheim Palace, we're doing Blenheim Palace this weekend, aren't we?
Yeah, this weekend
That's the
coming.
flower show, yeah. So, you know, I'm wondering whether it will be, the shoebill's always popular wherever we go. But we have meadow mice and meadow chorus, which are blue background, and it's all it's harvest mice, isn't it? In
You can
meadow.
actually see it behind you. Just is that the one just
Yes,
between you on the wall?
yes,
The
that's
blue
it.
one
Yeah,
that we
it
showed
is.
earlier. Yeah.
And they, you know, they're really popular as well. So it varies from the quirky to the more country. But our boxing hairs design is really popular too.
So what's your personal favourite then?
I love the shoebill. I do love the shoebill.
It's not on the website, my favorite.
Oh,
Which one was your favorite? I love Abbey Road too.
It's not done yet.
oh.
It's not complete. It's almost there.
And you're loving it that much, it's already your favourite.
Well, I think mine is always the next one.
Okay.
It's just how my brain works, really.
Keeps you creating then.
Yeah, I think so. I think because I have to, yeah. I mean, I get frustrated with them, don't get me wrong. I think we both do. We get really frustrated with them.
Yeah,
because sometimes they just don't work, and you
yes.
know it's a great image, but it just you can't get. We have a very good friend who's she's got a great eye, so we just run it past her on occasion.
Yeah,
she's right. Remove that.
Yeah,
too cluttered, and you go, oh yeah, absolutely.
And also having that distance from the artwork, because you become so involved up in the details. Because when you look at the big picture, what you're seeing is your emotions, the process, the journey, your attachments. Having somebody who's not got the attachment yet.
Yeah. And sometimes you can be trying too hard for it to be something rather than just let it be what it is, really.
Well, I think we're also fighting past attitudes as well. I want to be more clear on this. When I went through art college, you weren't allowed to be a narrative, illustrative drawer or painter. That was a real no-no. You know, it had to be angsty, yes, but nothing that told a story, if you like, in that way. And of course, my whole thing is, I'm interested by the story, the narrative. And now I think our style of painter has come back into favor a little bit more.
The pendulum has definitely swung, because even in marketing and the online world, storytelling is the thing and has been for about 4 years. Because we've got so much that has gone so over the top or fake, and people are like, I want authentic and I want to know why it's important.
Yes,
how I see it. So it makes sense that that's come back through in the art world as well, that desire to, because here's the other thing, when AI starts creating artwork and when everybody can use tools to throw something on a computer and they can be all fairly good, suddenly the story and the depth of meaning brings it to life in a new way and is important, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
If we can put a bit of soul in it, it's always good.
Yeah.
And I'm not claiming that there's soul in all of us. I'm just, you know what I mean? That's what you're trying to.
But that's the aim, yes.
Yeah. That it's more than decorative. I mean, and we expect that we're decorative. We're trying to be decorative, but it's just that there's a bit more to it.
decorative with story and soul. I like it. So how did you find the transition from going from working with massive murals to tight pencil drawings of the detail in, say, the feathers on the shoe bill? How was that for you to move from something so large?
Well, this is going to sound really weird, but I had been scared of pencils for 30 years. So I used charcoal, or I used painting, or I painted. Never sort of drew with pencils, especially not incredibly hard 8H, and all of the ones at that end. And I found it really surprisingly rewarding when I started using them.
You adapted quite
Yeah,
easily, didn't you?
I mean, I also did it as part of my physio.
Okay.
Because, without going into it too deeply, but when you wake up from a coma, most people have lost all of their muscle. That includes your hands and fingers. So mine didn't. Mine were claws. And the physios in hospital thought that the best way to engage me was to get me to sketch while I was in hospital. Well, I couldn't hold a pen or a pencil, but I did start drawing. And it was really from that moment onwards. And it helped with your fine motor skills, you see. So yes, that's, and then we started going, yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
And then,
absolutely.
and then Jackie, you work digitally, you colour them in. What does that process look like? What tools do you use? How do you decide to take something which has been created by Miles and now you're doing the next step almost, like pass the parcel?
I thought, just to be clear though, Jack also does the illustrations.
Oh, okay, so you both do.
Yeah.
Sorry, missed that one.
No,
Apologies.
that's okay.
I don't want it to assume that I'm the illustrator.
No, you do majority.
But I do at the moment, because at the moment I'm doing more of the illustration.
Yeah. I mean, I had to, working digitally for a long time, I'd got very lazy and again had to sort of, I hadn't drawn for a long time. And so revisited all of that myself, which is great. I did a lot of experimenting and just practicing really. And yeah, so when we've got an illustration, I then scan it in and have to tidy it all up. And then just start layering and layering colours, really rubbing out, just just layering texture and colour, and it is like painting really. So I use the paint tool in Photoshop, and yeah, just build up layers and layers really. It almost takes as long as the illustration. It can take a long time actually. And then again, I need Miles to come in and look at it, because sometimes I can't see the wood for the trees. It just needs something changing and I can't actually see it, and you just need that other eye. Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? And we mess about with it. We get our children as well to have a look, see what they think of the colours, and we've got a few trusted friends that have a look at the designs, and we can almost see then what's going to be popular. And then we'll take them out and try them. I mean, we've got our work in our art gallery, which is in Watergate Street.
Okay.
Which is a really lovely gallery, and it's great there because we can try things out too, and you're speaking straight to the customer and you get a nice reaction. You can talk about the work there, so it's lovely really.
So where on Watergate Street is that?
On the Rose. So if you're walking from the Cross down the bottom of Watergate Street, you go up on the Rose, and it's probably about halfway down. And there's some great artist work in there. It's really quite, it's 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 nice, isn't it, Miles? It's yeah, well worth a visit. It really is.
It's probably one that if people wanted to, when they come to Chester Artbeat and they were heading down to Bishop's Lloyd's Palace, which is also on there, on the Rose on Watergate Street, they'd be able to pop in and see.
Absolutely,
But
yeah.
obviously, you yourselves will be at a venue. Would you like to tell everybody where they can find you?
Now that you've just got me on the spot,
Oh.
because it's gone right out of my head. I know what it is, but I can't think of the name of it. It's right by the entrance of the new market.
So Northlight Coffee.
Yes, thank you very much.
They have now got the maps. They have got the leaflets. I was there about, I want to say 3 hours ago.
Oh, it's a great venue, and I think there's 3 of us in there, 3 or 4 artists.
Yes. Yeah,
we're in a lovely spot as soon as you walk in.
One of the things I would love to know from you is you've obviously come from this background where you did a lot of digital work and design and pattern surface. And Miles, you did massive murals, but you have let the cat out the bag that you may well be working on something a little bit bigger than a print at the moment. So maybe going back into the realms of the design work and larger. So tell us about the wallpaper.
Yeah. Well, we're doing, there's two wallpapers really. Well, we're doing a wallpaper together for an orangery and somebody's powder room and dressing room. So we're doing 3 different wallpapers, hopefully. And that's really exciting, actually. To give you a little bit of information about it, it's going to incorporate a life-size magnolia tree, quite pared back, but with obviously the surrounding countryside in it, and it will go right the way around the room. So that's really exciting. Yeah, we're really looking forward to that. And then Miles is
full of bees.
Yeah, with bees on, and yeah, Miles is a beekeeper. So we're working with the clients on what they love, what's surrounding them, and we can sort of keep working on it. As we're going along, we will take the illustrations, and she can look on the computer and swap and change things around to where she wants, and that'll be fabulous because it's in a gorgeous house, isn't it? It'd be really lovely to do. So, and then you're doing a hand painted one in their dining room. So yeah, it's a lovely project, which will lead to more,
a bit of a nod back to some of the places that you've been while you're still creating these illustrations and prints.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you still work in those places as well, don't you?
Yeah, I'm still on site.
Yeah, Miles still does that, and then I concentrate on Fancey By Nature. Really, we both do the artwork, but then I concentrate on running Fancey By Nature. Yeah. So it's exciting.
It is. It's very exciting. And then next weekend, you've got Blenheim Palace and anywhere else that people can see you. If, unfortunately, they're uber sad that they cannot make Chester Artbeat on the 5th to the 7th of July for whatever reason, more fool you. You should have had it in your diary sooner. No, but if they actually can't, but would love to actually meet you, where else might you be exhibiting coming up over this?
Oran Art Gallery. Yeah, we
on Watergate Street.
Yes, and I generally go in once a week. So if they contact Oran Art Gallery or myself, because I'll give out cards on Chester Artbeat, and then they can phone me and I can let them know when I'm in there.
There we go.
Yeah, that's it. There's Marcia and Gemma. Yeah, they're the owners. It's a really lovely place to be, actually. The artists they're so nice, and it's just a fabulous atmosphere in there, They've got a good variety of, yeah, there's Johnny Vegas. He's got some amazing art in there, and yeah, they're all really talented artists, aren't they? And there's
It's great stuff.
it's a
great
great
mix of
real
stuff.
good mix. Yeah, yeah,
There you are.
yeah, there we are.
And live just outside of Chester, hence coming in regularly.
Yes, yeah,
Fabulous. Yeah, they've got
exactly.
quite a few artists. So if you want
Yes,
to have a
there
look
are.
at that,
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
oran.gallery. And
yes.
that was the Meet Our Artists page. But obviously time is ticking on. So we've shared your website. And in case anybody wanted to know the link to that, I will drop it in the comments. But again, that was Fancey, spelt with an E, hyphen by hyphen nature.com. And obviously on Facebook, they are Fancey by Nature, and on Instagram, Fancey by Nature with no spaces in it. So all one word. And it's been fabulous talking to you, Jackie and Miles, hearing a bit more of what goes on behind the scenes and your journey. Very privileged to have you joining us for Chester Artbeat. And looking forward to all the event may bring. Any parting wisdom for those who are watching that you'd like to share? It could be anything at all. I mean, obviously, we'd like the level above, don't eat yellow snow, but the world is your oyster, take your pick.
I think for me, from what we've been through in the last few years, is don't take anything for granted, and just live your life in the day, and make the most out of each day, really.
I think just the most important is just to get on with it, just do it. You know, and if you've been thinking of a project that you're putting off because you're not going to be good enough, or you're this, or you're too old, or just do it.
Yeah,
you know,
it's never too late.
The worst that can happen is it doesn't work. You know,
and that you learn something on the journey, hey?
Yeah,
you're always going to, aren't
yeah,
you?
absolutely.
You're always going to.
If you don't put yourself out there, you know, if things don't come to you, you've got to put yourself out there.
And we've met some great people on the way as well.
Yeah.
You know, that we'd have never, come across.
Yeah, I mean, it's fabulous that you are now working with pencils, but it's absolutely crazy to think 30 years you were scared of them, considering the talent you have with them. So that's a great advert in and of itself for just do it, just crack on if there's something that you think is going to be good. And as you said, Jackie, you never know what's coming. So step in today and make the most.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you very much for having us as well. It's been really lovely to chat to you. And we can't wait for the 5th to the 7th of July.
The Friday through till the Sunday, and you are in Northlight, and the joy of that venue is you can even get some food and a coffee and sit and appreciate the artwork from a table, quite possibly. So
and I think there's a DJ on too.
There we go. That's the first I've heard of that one, but it wouldn't surprise me because it is the weekend.
I think it's quite easy listening, though. It's not going to be anything
until later in the night, by which point you'll be happily packed up and headed home to your beds or to your evenings celebrations of all the sales you've made.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be lovely if anybody's around and about there. Please pop in and come and say hello to us. It'd be lovely to meet you.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll be willing to answer any questions people have, or show them the works that they've had a bit of a prelude to. Hey, we might even, I don't know what your timeline's like, we might even see your new favourite, Miles, maybe.
Yeah, chat won't allow it yet.
We'll see.
We'll see how far 2 and a bit weeks takes us, hey?
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it, and we look forward to meeting you in the flesh, in real life.
Absolutely. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you.
Bye.